Jayo Jayo Nitai Gaura Chandra Jayo Nitai Gaura Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Jayo Nitai Gaura Chandra Jayo Jayo Nitai Gaura Chandra Jayo Nitai Gaura Chandra Nitai Gaura Chandra Jayo Nitai Gaura Chandra Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Premanande
Hare Krishna, we are very fortunate to have Her Grace Sukhavaha Mataji today amongst us at ISKCON Vishal Nagar, ISKCON BCEC. I'll read out a small introduction of hers. Her Grace Sukhavaha Mataji was born and raised as a Protestant minister's daughter. Inspired by her father, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in social welfare from Pennsylvania State University. At age 21 in 1975, she accepted initiation from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. With her counseling skills coupled with spiritual knowledge, she was ordained an interfaith minister in January of 1992. She has been involved in a number of social welfare projects in India, including the Barsana Eye Camp and the Spiritual Care Department of Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Mumbai. She regularly leads discussions to various devotee communities on compassionate communication, emotional healing and relationships, as well as conducting numerous seminars and workshops. She has written 2 books, Finding the Gap, Some Truth About the Lies We Tell Ourselves, about the mind and false ego. And the second one, Entering the Gap, More Truth About the Lies We Tell Ourselves, about the anarthas. So these books are available here, and yesterday Mataji gave a very beautiful class at Shri Radha Kunj Bihari Mandir, and I requested NVCC temple if Mataji, while going towards Mumbai, back to Mumbai, if she can, come here and give us her association. So let us welcome Her Grace Sukhavaha Mataji by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you all for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Brajanaranjana Yasodanandana Brajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivannadari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, Hare Krishna. My goodness. Thank you. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, text number 49, and this chapter is entitled, The Pandavas Retire Timely. Viduro parityajya. Prabhāse ātmanaḥ. kṛṣṇāveśena tac-cittaḥ. pitṛbhiḥ sva-kṣayaṁ yayau. viduro parityajya. prabhāse deham ātmanaḥ. kṛṣṇāveśena tac-cittaḥ. pitṛbhiḥ sva-kṣayaṁ yayau. viduro parityajya. prabhāse deham ātmanaḥ. kṛṣṇāveśena tac-cittaḥ. pitṛbhiḥ sva-kṣayaṁ yayau. Ladies? Word for word. Vidura. Vidura, the uncle of Maharaj Yudhisthira. Api, also. Parityajya, after quitting the body. Prabhāse, in the place of pilgrimage at prabhāse. Deham ātmanaḥ, his body. Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Aveshena, being absorbed in that thought. Tat, his. Cittaḥ, thoughts and actions. Pitṛbhiḥ, along with the residents of Pitṛloka. Sva-kṣayaṁ, his own abode. Yayau, departed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Viduro, while on pilgrimage, left his body at prabhāse. Because he was absorbed in thought of Krishna, he was received by the denizens of the Pitṛloka planet, where he returned to his original post. Purport. The difference between the Pandavas and Vidura is that the Pandavas are eternal associates of the Lord, the personality of Godhead, whereas Vidura is one of the administrative demigods in charge of the Pitṛloka planet and is known as Yamaraj. Men are afraid of Yamaraj because it is he only who awards punishment to the miscreants of the material world. But those who are devotees of the Lord have nothing to fear from him. To the devotees, he is a cordial friend, but to the non-devotees, he is fear personified. As we have already discussed, it is understood that Yamaraj was cursed by Manduka Muni to be degraded as a Sudra, and therefore Vidura was an incarnation of Yamaraj. As an eternal servitor of the Lord, he displayed his devotional activities very ardently and lived a life of a pious man, so much so that a materialistic man like Dhritarashtra also got salvation by his instruction. So by his pious activities in the devotional service of the Lord, he was able to always remember the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus he became washed of all contamination of a Sudra-born life. At the end, he was again received by the denizens of Pitṛloka and posted in his original position. The demigods are also associates of the Lord without personal touch, whereas the direct associates of the Lord are in constant personal touch with him. The Lord and his personal associates incarnate in many universes without cessation. The Lord remembers them all, whereas the associates forget due to their being very minute parts and parcels of the Lord. They are apt to forget such incidents due to being infinitesimal. This is corroborated in the Bhagavad Gita. 4:4-5. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshur Om Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagachatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jigatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpa Tubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Dishtarni. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. May I ask what time class generally ends? 8:45 or 9? What time? 8:45. Oh, and then take questions till 9 o'clock. Okay, thank you. So, this whole chapter is about the Pandavas retiring timely. Krishna's winding up his pastimes, and so all of his associates want to go with him. They can't really live without him. And his associates have different positions. Like the Pandavas were associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, whereas Viduro was actually Yamaraj, and he had been cursed. He had been cursed by Manduka Muni to be degraded as a Sudra. And so, interestingly enough, Yamaraj is a devoted servant of the Lord, and yet he has a different post. Not everybody would want that post, to be the Lord of death, the Lord who takes stock of how you used your human form of life or misused your human form of life, and awards the appropriate next body that you can learn the lessons that maybe you didn't learn in this lifetime. So not everybody would want to have that post as Yamaraj. It takes a special personality, but Krishna's manifestation, Krishna's unlimited universes are filled with devotees of different statures and different desires. Now, what they have in common is they want to do whatever Krishna wants. They really want to serve Krishna. They want to serve and love Krishna. However, the way that manifests may be very different. Sometimes we think in this day and age, and where we are as devotees of ISKCON, we sometimes think there's one way to be a devotee, or there's two ways to be a devotee. You be a brahmachari, or you be grihastra. And there are actually very, very many moods of how to serve Krishna. And Krishna's so kind, it even says in Bhagavad Gita, as one desires, accordingly I fulfill his desires. So we're all individual, and we all have individual desires. And Krishna appears as whatever Ishtadev we're attached to. And he allows us service in whatever mood we feel comfortable. And because we're all different and unique and individual, there's a huge manifestation. So Vidura, he's the incarnation of Yamaraj in this pastime when Krishna appears on this planet Earth. And Yamaraj has received the curse. Now it's interesting, you think that someone who's a servant of the Lord and serves the Lord very nicely, how is it that he's getting cursed? And doesn't Yamaraj have the ability to nullify a curse, considering his position? So let's look at curses. Maharaj Parikshit was also cursed. He was cursed to die in 7 days, and certainly he had the power to reverse that curse. But the quality of a devotee, Parikshit Maharaj was a great devotee, and Yamaraj is a great devotee. The quality of a devotee is that they don't want to reverse curses. They take what's coming to them as what Krishna wants. They receive it. For some reason, Krishna wants this to happen. They may not even really know exactly what Krishna wants, but they receive the curse, and they receive whatever there is to come with that, and they play their role. And that's what it means to be a devotee. As devotees, sometimes people may curse us, or we may curse ourselves, self-sabotage, and certainly we're receiving the reactions of our past activities, which is coming to us. However, when we receive these reactions, just like a curse is a reaction to something, when we receive these reactions, we actually get the blessings of the Lord. So, Viduro received that curse, and Yamaraj received that curse, and he became Vidura. And he actually played a very pivotal role in the pastime with Dhritarashtra. He was Dhritarashtra's younger brother, conceived through a Sudra woman. However, he had such a perception of reality that Dhritarashtra, who was blind materially and spiritually, didn't have. And he served his older brother by trying to reveal some truths to him. However, Dhritarashtra was not ready to receive them, because he had in his ear his son Duryodhana kind of influencing him, pushing him in a certain direction. And he chose to be influenced by Duryodhana rather than to be influenced by Vidura. And so that influence, being influenced by Duryodhana, had consequences. However, Krishna is so kind, even though the consequences were the battle of Kurukshetra, ultimately, those consequences were also meant to take place because Krishna uses everything and has a plan for everything. And there was a lot of negative energy and persons that wanted to control rather than serve. And there was an overload and an overburden on the earth. And so Krishna came personally to oversee the clearing of this negative energy. And Vidura played a very pivotal role in that, and he actually helped his brother Dhritarashtra at the end of his life. So now let's talk about us, because it's really important that we understand that the scriptures have relevance for us in our own life. So we've taken birth, and we have received the reactions of our past activities, which we call karma. However, oftentimes we don't receive the results of our past activities. Rather, we try to push them away. In this world, in the material world, there's a conception of duality. Good and bad, positive, negative, right and wrong. This is the world of duality. It's divided. And so we want pleasure and we avoid pain. Now, naturally, the soul is pleasure-seeking. That's natural. However, avoiding pain does not give you real pleasure, and avoiding the pain of the consequences of our past activities doesn't give us the blessings that those reactions actually have to teach us. Avoiding pain is avoiding pain, and we get a little relief from the pain. However, I just want to say that pain and love are intimately connected. So when we look at in the spiritual world, all the associates of the Lord experience pain of separation from the Lord at different parts of the day. In the morning, Mother Yasoda, and in the evening, Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj have their time with Krishna. But during the day, they miss him. He goes out with the gopas. And the gopis miss him, I think, the most, but they get time at night. So there is always some pain of separation. Now, in this world, we avoid pain. We numb it, we distract from it, we suppress it, we push it down, we do everything we can to avoid it. However, when we suppress the pain and we avoid the reactions of our past activities, the consequences, we push down the opportunity to even really feel and develop real love. Because love and pain are connected. When we push down one, we push down the other. Now, the consequences of our past activities are not meant to punish us. Parikshit Maharaj and Vidura did not consider the curse as a punishment. However, if we felt like we were being cursed, we would feel that was a punishment. They didn't consider it a punishment. They received it, and because they received it, something beneficial, not just for them, but for the whole world, took place. Now, the reactions of our past activities, our karma, the consequences, are meant to teach us something. Very valuable lessons. When we push them away because they're painful, we miss out on the lesson. And this is what we do in the material world. Now, when we resist the consequences and push them away, I don't want them, I don't want to deal with them, I don't want them right now, we actually perpetuate our stay in the material world. We don't graduate. Just like when we go to school, if we don't study our lessons and we don't pass the tests, we come back and repeat the same grade. Now, I know that doesn't happen in India because there's so much pressure to study. However, it can happen to us in this world because we avoid pain. Now, how can we receive the reactions of our past activities? It's said in the scripture that I'm not exactly the wording, but something like don't harbor ill feelings for the person carrying your karma. Does somebody know the verse better than that? There you go, perfect. Do not blame the instrument of your karma. Now, at every moment, at every day, things are coming to us. People are saying things, treating us in certain ways, and our body and mind are telling us things. These are all instruments of our karma. Now, generally, we take our karma, and when it comes to us as a negative, something negative, we push it away. We think it's negative. However, in the spiritual world, there's nothing negative. There is no negativity. It's part of the whole. Only in the world of duality do we see something as negative. So we see our karma as something, well, I mean, it can be positive, good karma, or negative, bad karma. However, all karma is trying to teach us something. Even we get good karma and we have so much pious activity, we go to the heavenly planet, okay, you're rewarded for good karma. However, at the end of that stay in the heavenly planet, boom, you got to come down again. So at the end of all that enjoying, we get the lesson. Oh, by the way, this isn't your real home. You got to go back down again and get another lesson because you didn't get the full lesson. You didn't graduate yet. So this is the illusion of the material world. You know, we talk about the mode of passion and ignorance. The mode of goodness is very binding, actually, because it looks so good. So in the world of duality, bad and good are really the same. The modes of the three modes, even though one looks better than the other, they're all binding. They bind us here. And it's really the karmic reactions that come to us. These are gifts. It's not a punishment. We take it as a punishment, but it's a gift trying to teach us. Somebody mistreats us in a certain way. Wow, oh my gosh, I know how that feels. Wow, I would never want to treat anybody like that. Well, maybe in our past we did treat somebody like that, and then we kind of get like, I would never want to treat anybody like that. So we got the lesson. We may not have tied it to our past, we may not have gotten it consciously, but we got the lesson. I would never want to treat anybody like that. Now, I'm going to say something else here. Krishna's he really loves us. And he doesn't want to hurt us. However, in this world of duality, because we're jiva tattva, we're infinitesimal, we're tiny. And so we really get confused sometimes. Dhritarashtra got influenced by his son. And he was not influenced by viduro until the end of his life. So we get influenced. We're tiny jiva tattva. However, when we can just really start accepting our jivaness and really receiving the lessons that come to us, we become blessed by those lessons. When we avoid what seems to be negative, whatever we resist, it just persists. Whatever we push down and suppress, it doesn't go away. We're just kind of going to have a backload of homework to do later on if we don't deal with it now. Now we talk about, in spiritual life, simplicity. Right? We talk about simplicity. Actually, simplicity means no duplicity. That's really what simplicity is. I mean, we can talk simplicity means just wearing simple clothes, but in reality, simplicity is a mentality. It's a mentality. To have a simple mindset means it's not complicated, means I'm not adding things. Now, I'm going to turn the direction of the class just a little bit, because in these books, I talk about the mind and the false ego and the anartas. And generally, we see these aspects as negative, the mind, the false ego, and the anartas. We see these as negative things. And so, and because they're so kind of big and vague and they're demons, it's hard to deal with them. We don't know what to do with them, and we kind of try to push them away or push them down under the covers. It's like, yeah. We don't receive them, we don't deal with them, but really, all these aspects are sent to give us some message, some lesson. Now, because in our scriptures, there's a lot of talk about ahankara, about the false ego, and about the upadhis and the identifications. However, we don't always see in detail like what that would look like for me in my life right now. So in these books, I really give names to 6 layers of ego that we develop as we're growing. And we start out as a soul, and we enter a body and the womb. And it says that if we're fortunate, in that womb, at the age of 7 months, we may have remembrance of our past 100 births. Now that remembrance is a gift from Krishna. Oh, by the way, there's a few things you're going to need to work on here. Now, in that womb, we pray, oh my gosh, what did I do? What a mess I made. Those past 100 births, oh my Krishna, I don't want to forget you. I don't want to forget you. Please let me remember you. So, that's a good start. However, we still need to receive some lessons. It's not just like, okay, oops, I made a mistake, whoops, I blew it, and then it's just going to be erased. Krishna wants us to really imbibe the deep consciousness of what we've done and receive it. And so we take birth in the material world, and the trauma of birth covers us again, and we forget. Because in trauma, we're all traumatized a little bit. It's just so overwhelming, we have to go unconscious. So then the soul is unconscious in this baby body, right? But somewhere along the line, when we're 2, 3, 4, something happens which is uncomfortable. Maybe we get a sibling, maybe we get yelled at, or maybe we get hurt, maybe somebody dies, or maybe somebody moves away. And that feels really uncomfortable. And in that discomfort, the soul and super soul are speaking, something doesn't feel right here. Something doesn't feel right. They're speaking. However, that something doesn't feel right is misinterpreted by our material child mind. And instead of something's not right, I'm not in the spiritual world, I'm not with Krishna, I'm not in my original constitutional consciousness. Yes, something's not right, but misinterpret it into something is wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. And in that pain, something's wrong with me. That's our first layer of identity. In that pain, we start taking everything personal. And then we have to cover that pain with a layer of protection. That's another layer. And then when we're a peer, we start comparing ourselves to everybody. We have this comparing, they're better, I'm worse. And then we have to cover that with a proving persona. And then when we go out in the world, going to college, getting married, we're confronted with the world. Now I have to figure out what I'm going to do. So then we got to produce some results and quick fixes. And all these layers actually cover the soul and burden us. Now we can say that these layers are negative. The false ego is negative, the mind. However, these layers are initially meant for protecting us. Because what we have to deal with and work with to become fully conscious of who we are, there's so many layers. It would be overwhelming if we had to deal with it all at once. And so these are kind of layers of protection. However, as we grow, these protective layers, we could call it like a fence around us, these protective layers, as we grow, like a tree growing with a fence around it, when the tree gets bigger, the fence can start cutting into the tree. And then we have to remove the fence, otherwise the fence is going to kill the tree. So as we grow, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, we come to this Krishna consciousness. And we try to paste Krishna consciousness on top of all these layers, and it won't stick. Now, these layers are not really the absolute truth. There's some lies in those layers. But those lies are part of our past consciousness. And we need to resolve that and heal that. So we need to integrate it. So I hope I'm not getting too complicated here. But the negative, what we think is negative, the false ego, it helps us to operate. It actually helps us to operate because we don't know who we are. We need an operating system. And it's bringing lessons to us, but we don't understand the lessons. We haven't integrated it. So as we grow, what seems to be negative, when we learn to look at it and see what is the lesson in this? What is this telling me? And do I want to believe this? And can I believe something new? That lesson can integrate our past karma and our past stories, and we can grow from it and have a bigger perspective. So self-awareness is a very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada wrote, the science of self-realization. Self-realization. But we don't know who we really are. We're identifying with these layers. And that causes a lot of confusion. And so, again, simplicity is not duplicity. When we're believing lies, the lies of the layers of the false ego, I'm no good. No, look how good I am. I'm worse than everybody. No, I'm better than. All these lies cover our soul. We need to peel away the lies that complicate and really perpetuate more karma. We self-sabotage by believing lies. And then we perpetuate our own karma. Krishna's not giving us our karma. We created it, and we're perpetuating it. And we need to break that cycle. Karma is a cycle. Samsara, it's a cycle. We need to break that cycle. And we break that cycle by addressing it and by pulling apart the duplicitous lies, the duplicity. And as we pull apart the lies, we come to the simple truth. Now, we know this truth theoretically. I'm a tiny part and parcel of Krishna. We know it theoretically. but we haven't integrated and realized it, and we're not necessarily acting on that platform. When we act from our egos, my ego is talking to your ego, and my opinion is conflicting with your opinion, and we're fighting and we're arguing. But you're not your ego, and I'm not my ego, and so we're complicating the whole issue. So self-awareness and self-realization as we work on clearing the clutter, right? Krishna came to clear all the negative energy, right? He came, and then there was the battle of Kurukshetra. He wanted to clear the burden of the earth planet, right? All right. He wanted to clear the clutter and the burden on the earth planet. Well, we personally have emotional negative beliefs and clutter in our mind. And as we clear that clutter, we relieve ourselves of a burden that we're carrying around. We carry this burden. And then, because we haven't resolved our pain and our burden, we throw it on other people because we don't know what to do with it. We throw it on other people, and then they throw their pain and burdens on us, and we're just being distracted from the real issue. I need to really clear my own clutter. I need to clear what's covering me. I need to clear what's covering me so I can find my soul self, and I can find Krishna. And Krishna's in my heart, and I need to clear away the misconceptions and the lies I've been telling myself that keep me separated from Krishna. But if I reinforce my lies and I try to prove my lies to you and you try to prove your lies to me, we're just being distracted from the real work we're here to do. Just one more point. Earlier, somewhere in this verse, there's a purport about Draupadi, and in the purport, Prabhupada talks about flying our own airplane. Did you read that one recently, or is that to come? It's yet to come? It's yet to come, okay. So we're responsible for this little soul that Krishna gave us. But sometimes we take a lot of time and we distract ourselves out here trying to produce results. Actually, the services that we're given and the interactions we have with people are meant to purify us, to teach us our lessons, and to clear our clutter, because we're the only person that we can change in this world. And we're the only person that we're responsible for changing in this world. And at the end of life, at the time of death, it's our consciousness that Krishna's going to take stock of, not all the things we did. It's our consciousness. So it really behooves us to invest in the process of understanding who we are and who we aren't, and distinguishing the difference between my operating systems and my soul self. And when we can distinguish the difference and start acting a little bit more on our real level by practice, we can come to a place of simplicity. And when we invest in that, our day-to-day interactions will be lighter. We'll be able to receive them and receive the lessons. So we get a return now, and all that we invested in our consciousness and understanding, all of that is in our subtle body, and we get to take that with us at the time of death. We get to take that, so we get returns now, and we get returns later. And it's actually what we're here, what we're meant to do, why we're here in this world. We're meant to get our lessons. We spend a lot of time trying to teach other people lessons, and we sometimes neglect working on our own lessons. So I think my class was kind of all over the place today. I apologize for that. There was a lot of things going on in my mind of what to say. But please, if anyone has any contributions, corrections, questions, I'm opening up. There's a question there.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. I'm trying to understand. When we are born, we experience an incompatibility, and that we interpret as pain, and then we try to protect ourselves.
It is pain.
Yeah.
It's painful to be away from Krishna. It's painful to not be in the spiritual world. It's painful to not have our original real consciousness. It's painful.
So
That pain is
misinterpreted as some fault in me.
Yes, some fault
Right.
in me.
So, Mataji, I wanted to understand that these layers that you talked about, are they removed the moment we decide to receive our karmic reactions?
Nothing is removed immediately. We're looking for the precious gem of pure love of God. That is a precious diamond, a huge diamond. We're going to have to start saving up some money, not money, but we'll start saving up some lessons to be able to receive and appreciate that. If something's given to you immediately, generally you don't really appreciate it. If you give your kids everything they want, they just break them the next day because they didn't have to invest anything in it. You just gave it to them. So, but when we invest time and energy and consciousness and practice, then when we get a gift, wow, thank you so much. I'm going to take care of this. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
I describe those different layers in the book in a lot more detail, and it'll be a lot more clear. I just kind of just put out a teaser or whatever you call it, a trailer. So I can't really explain it in a couple of minutes. It's explained in detail in here.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. There's one back there. Are there any ladies that have a question? Okay, one lady, and then after him.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for giving the very nice perspective on receiving pain. So I would like to understand more on that. Just wanted to give an example, like if somebody is approaching me with a knife, and I know that he's going to kill me. So I have two options. One is make some efforts to save myself. Second option is just think that, okay, this is my karmic reaction. I should receive that pain so that I don't have to wait for the next birth to receive that pain again.
No.
So
that's
what is
not,
the...
That's not what I'm talking about, but thank you. That was a very, very astute question. Let's talk about the little pains that come at us on a daily basis. Most of us are not approached with someone trying to kill us. Now, believe me, if someone comes to approach you with a knife, all of your protective mechanisms in your body will immediately react. You're not going to be able to stand there and say, yes, except for Mother Ladini. She stood up to that, but that was different. She was not receiving it as her pain. She was receiving it as protecting the devotees. However, receiving pain means, it doesn't mean we stand there and let somebody hurt us. However, if we can't do anything about the situation at that point, for whatever reason, I'll just talk about like maybe abuse, okay? So in that moment, we may not be able to do anything. However, if I have an understanding that this is an abusive relationship and it's really hurting me physically, emotionally, mentally, I want to find some safe place where I can heal. That's intelligence. Receiving pain means, even if I'm in an abusive relationship, even removing myself from that abusive relationship, there's going to be some pain there too. And that's why a lot of women stay in abusive relationships, because if I remove myself, everybody's going to criticize me. It's my fault, because it's always the woman's fault. Not only that, I'm not going to have any kind of financial protection, and maybe I don't know how to get a job. And so there may be some other pain I have to deal with. So receiving pain means integrating the lesson. Rupa Goswami really says we accept those things that are favorable for our Krishna consciousness and reject those things that are unfavorable. So we have to have some discernment. Is it favorable for me to stay? Can I handle this? Or is this really too much? And we have to be honest. Even if our spiritual master asks us something that we really we're really having a struggling time and we're being influenced, and we're being asked to do something that maybe we're really afraid we're gonna lose our Krishna consciousness. In all honesty, we want to say that ahead of time before we get in the circumstance and then fall down or whatever. So we want to use our intelligence, but pain will come. We don't have to seek it out, and we don't have to stand there and take it. One way or another, there's going to be pain. But what is the lesson? Maybe the lesson for me to learn is, this is not a healthy relationship. This is not helping me in my Krishna consciousness. Let me find a healthier place. That can be the lesson of that pain. So you received the pain, you got the lesson, and you removed yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I wanted to...
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare
Thank you so much for wonderful class. So my question is, how do we react to the pains when they come in the in your devotional services? Sometimes they become obstacles. Then how can you welcome them, and you don't really push them? Okay.
I didn't say welcome.
Yeah, sorry.
I said receive.
Receive, yeah.
Because if we push it away, generally, like if someone throws some pain on us, we'll throw it back on them. And so we're just creating action, reaction, action, reaction, action, reaction, which is what the material world is all about. So I describe in detail like the integration. So understanding and observing what's going on. Okay, this person is throwing something on me. Now, we want to discern. They're throwing their pain on me, but their pain may be triggering my internal pain. Just like if you have boils on your body, right? If boils on your body, if someone bumps against the boil, ouch, you hurt me. Now, if I don't have boils and they bump against me, it doesn't really hurt me. So if someone's throwing something on me and I'm feeling hurt, I need to address where my sores are, where are my wounds, what's hurting in me. When we really heal our own wounds, someone may throw their pain on us, but we'll be able to distinguish between their pain and our pain. If their pain causes pain for me, that's my pain. However, when I can heal my pain, someone may try to throw their pain on me, blaming me, shaming me, saying things, and I can hear it and understand I can understand the difference between their pain and my pain. That takes a lot of discernment. That means we got to work on our pain. Because when we don't work on our pain, we throw it on others. And we're responsible for the pain we throw on others. So when we can be conscious and be responsible about where my pain is, and this person is triggering my pain, what is it? What is it bringing up? And we can understand it and be clear about it. We can heal that and not have to throw it back to the person. A lot of times what happens when people throw their pain on us, we throw it right back. Then they throw it back again and we're fighting. Now this is, I can't really explain this in a few minutes because it's, this process has taken me, I've been working on myself for 20 years, but I do describe it in detail in these books. And then there's more, and there's more, and there's more. So I don't know if I helped you or not, but really receiving the pain doesn't mean receiving other people's pain. Let me use another word besides receiving the pain. Let's use the word learning from the pain. How about that? Let's change that. I'm going to erase that, delete that word receiving. Learning from the pain, not resisting the pain, not receiving the pain, learning from the pain, and not resisting the pain and pushing it away or pushing it on somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I see it's 9 o'clock, and I don't want to interfere with the temple schedule. I really like your temple a lot. I want to say it's really beautiful. It's really so big and beautiful, and Prabhupada's Vyasa sign is exquisite, and Nitai Gaur Chandra are so, you can feel their mercy, huh? They're very merciful, so you have a really nice temple, and you have a nice, large community. It's really nice, and when we can learn to heal our pain, our communities become more organically loving. So that's what I wanted to share with you. So thank you for your time and attention. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sukhavaha Mataji ki jai. So Mataji is here. Those who want to have the books can come.
Yeah, they're 800 rupees. I do have a Q scan if you want to scan electronically if you don't have cash. And I'll sign the books for you. I only have 26 copies. So the first 26 people that come can get signed copies. And where do you want me to sit? Can I sit I'll sit.
I'll arrange. I will make arrangement.
Yeah, another place.
Okay. And Mataji has to take breakfast, and also she's on her way to Mumbai. So
But I'll take that after.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.